I counted between 7 and 9 illegal punches to the back of the head. It was crazy. He was just standing there watching it, didn't jump in, didn't do anything, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think it should have been a no contest, not awarded to Cote, but a no contest. Fight shouldn't. Yeah, but horrible, really bad. Kev?
First of all, Carlos, you know, it was a great.
He's got a mic behind you there, Kev.
Thank you. Thanks. Congratulations on a great fight. When you were making your game plan up, you know if you kick at GSP, you know he's going to take you down. What were the factors you put in your mind as deciding to kick a lot against a guy who's such a great wrestler?
You know, I honestly I felt whether I kicked or whether I didn't, he was probably going to be able to take me down, so I might as well kick. You know, and you know I was almost closed it out with one of them too. But you know, it was more the timing of the kicks than anything. Game planning for George, we were working on the timing. You know, if he's shooting in and I can time a kick and catch him with it, then you know it's good on me.
Where were you when you landed the kick? I mean, did you feel like you were able to get a punch coming down from the top? Was it like one punch away? If you could have gotten that real clean shot in, did you feel he was gone?
I felt like if I put another couple on him, because I hit him with, I think, 2 pretty hard elbows afterwards. I had him pretty close. If I was able to, you know, continue to, you know, maybe put a barrage on him, I might have got the stoppage.
Dana, and a question for you. I think you're in a pretty good position now. You know, you got some people are saying, well, definitely we want to see GSP fight Anderson, and you got Johnny sitting here all of a sudden, and you know now you have alternatives. You know, people are saying, well, we want to see this guy fight. From your standpoint, can you just talk a little bit about, you know, a couple months ago you didn't even have GSP at all. Now you have all these options. Can you explain sort of what you're thinking?
Yeah, and just for the record, you know, I was just outside and I did an interview, and the guy asked me. You know, when GSP got dropped by Carlos Condit, you must have been scared to death, you know, this, that. We came into this fight tonight, whether Carlos Condit won or George St-Pierre won, it is what it is. You know, Carlos is a tough guy and well-rounded fighter, and came in and gave George
do, you know what I mean? I made my case. He's a tough fighter. I knew he was going to be. Man, I finished him. And the only thing left is, you know, hopefully George St-Pierre.
And Ivan looked good tonight, too. I forgot to talk about Ivan. You looked awesome tonight. Great arm bar. Sorry, Ivan.
Hello. Question for Dana. What do you think of the two French fighters tonight?
What did I think of what?
The two French fighters tonight?
The two French fighters?
Yeah.
George St-Pierre and Carmont?
Francis Carmont and Cyril Diabaté.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll say one of them looked great tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Dana, back here. There were obviously a lot of Canadians on the card tonight. No one had their back against the wall more than Mark Hominick. With a loss tonight, can we expect to see Mark returning to the UFC after tonight?
You know what? Hominick always comes to fight. That was a really good fight. They both went at it, and I love that kid. So, you know, we don't ever make decisions like that here at the press conference, but, you know, I have a lot of respect for him, and he always brings it.
And one quick other one, too. Tonight with Patrick Cote, it seemed like a great argument in favor of instant replay. Do you feel that this is a bit of a statement towards maybe we can see this in other states? Because was this not kind of towards Quebec? They were allowed to go to this right away, whereas Nevada, California wouldn't be in that situation.
Yeah, no, I do respect that. I do like the fact that they pull the trigger and they make a decision one way or the other. And don't take me wrong, I'm not knocking them for what they did. I just said normally I think that would be a no contest. But I like commissions that get in there and pull the trigger. You know, because that was a horrible job by the. It's mind-boggling how he could sit there and stand there and watch that many punches go to the back of somebody's head. It's crazy.
Question pour Georges. Georges, d'abord bravo pour la victoire.
Merci.
Après 19 mois d'absence, c'était plus difficile ou plus facile que vous pensiez de revenir dans notre tournoi?
He says after 19 months out of the octagon, it was harder or easier than I thought. Je croyais que c'était pour être difficile, puis c'était très difficile. C'est un feeling que tu oublies, puis tu le perds. Alors j'étais très nerveux, mon timing, ça m'a pris quelques temps avant de le prendre. I said I knew it was going to be hard, and it was very hard, especially in the beginning. It's a feeling, the octagon feel, it's something that you lost after a certain time. And but Carlos, I haven't fought for a long time too, so we were both in a similar situation. And yeah, but I knew I was ready for it. I made a lot of visualization, and I was ready for a tough fight.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut off George. I wanted to ask something to Ivan before we get back to George. Good fight for you. We know it's been a great story for a few years here in Montreal, and now another big night for you. And for a guy, I didn't realize it was $70K for the submission of the night, but for a guy like you who has another job, feels pretty good, eh?
Thank you. It's fun, you know. Fighting is amazing, and make a little more money is help a lot for the family, education, and thanks.
Georges, tu sembles assez amoché. Est-ce que c'est le combat le plus difficile de ta carrière? Est-ce que tu as été autant amoché déjà par le passé?
He says I'm pretty messed up. So he says, is that the hardest fight of your career? And it's hard to say. I think je crois que c'est un des combats les plus difficiles de ma carrière. Ce combat-là est celui de John Fitch. This fight and John Fitch fight was two fights that I was really pushed to the edge, and but this fight, it was a little bit special too because I haven't been there for a long time, and it was at home. I think this fight was something very special for me because it was in Montreal and the whole story behind it. I think this fight was. Je crois que ce combat-là c'était vraiment spécial pour moi. C'était le combat peut-être un des combats les plus difficiles pour moi par rapport à que j'étais absent pendant 19 mois et je faisais un retour.
Est-ce que tu as l'impression que tu as été assez convaincant, tu as fait taire certaines critiques? Là, on sait que tu n'as pas encore réussi à finir ton adversaire avant la limite, mais est-ce que tu crois que c'était une victoire assez convaincante pour ton retour?
He talked about the criticism. He says if I'm happy of my fight regarding the criticism. Je suis content de mon combat. J'ai tout donné ce que j'avais. Je suis allé sans regret. Alors, il faut donner crédit à Carlos Condit. Là. Je me bats pas contre n'importe qui. Je me bats contre le meilleur au monde. I'm happy. I give everything I had. I live everything I had in the octagon. I was exhausted. We say in French is an expression. My cornerman was yelling at me, put him in red. Like in red, that's mean like give everything you have every round, so you come back, you're exhausted, and that's what I did. I give everything I had. I have no regret. I fought the best I could, and I have to give Carlos the credit because he's number one guy. So I give Carlos the credit. People sometimes they forget I'm fighting the best guy in the world. So they say, oh, the finish, but the finish, it's not always easy. And regarding the credit, I give everything I had. I have no regret. I give everything. I fought for my fan. I left everything out there, and I had fun. I had a blast tonight.
On parle beaucoup d'un éventuel combat contre Anderson Silva, mais Monsieur Hendricks ici a fait le KO de la soirée. Je sais, tu l'as peut-être pas vu, mais l'idée de te battre contre Johnny Hendricks, est-ce que c'est quelque chose qui t'intéresserait?
You talk about fight. People talk about Anderson Silva, but now Johnny Hendricks has an expeditive KO tonight. What do I think about that? Je crois que je viens juste de finir mon combat. Là, j'ai reçu des coups en plus. J'ai besoin d'avoir quelques vacances. Et puis, il y a tellement d'options. Il y a Johnny Hendricks, je sais qu'il y a Nick Diaz, il y a Anderson Silva. On va voir ce qui va arriver. J'ai besoin de parler au patron et on va voir. I said I need to see what's going to happen. I need to talk to the boss right here, and we'll see what's going to happen, the best option. And, I just get hit. I need some vacation before I took a decision quick as this. But, of course, John Hendricks looked very impressive tonight, and with this victory, probably he put himself in number one spot. We'll see what's going to happen.
Georges.
And Nick Diaz says on Twitter apparently he's not impressed by my performance. Nick Diaz. Moi j'étais pas. J'ai mieux fait que Nick Diaz en fait. Alors I said I did better than Nick did against Carlos, but it was a tough fight. It could have gone either way at some point. I was in big trouble and I gave everything I had. Donné tout ce que j'avais. Oui, it gave me a lot of, you said it, a lot of confidence. Oui, ça me donne beaucoup de confiance. Puis j'ai retrouvé le feu, j'ai retrouvé l'amour que j'avais perdu pour le sport et puis que ma nouvelle routine, j'ai du plaisir à nouveau. So I found the fire back. I had a lot of fun. This time in the octagon, I had a blast tonight. I was getting hit. It was painful, but I had a lot of fun and I love my job, and thanks to everyone for the support. I don't care the critic, what they say. I fought. I give everything I had tonight, and I am like I am. I use my body the best as I can. I don't have the knockout power of a Rampage Jackson. I don't have maybe the athletic ability of a John Jones. I don't have the accuracy of a Anderson Silva, or I don't have the wrestling of a Charles Sonnen, but I use my body with the tools I have the best as I can, and that's why I win fight. It's not always about the muscle, it's the mind, and I use my tools the best I can to win the fight and to fight for the fan and to make a good show. So that's all. J'ai beaucoup de plaisir à me combattre, puis malgré la critique, j'ai donné tout ce que j'avais, puis j'ai aucun regret au combat que j'ai fait. Je suis vraiment fier de moi.
Georges, ici. Georges. Ici, salut. Est-ce que tu as eu le temps d'avoir un flashback de ton premier combat contre Sarah quand tu t'es retrouvé dans le trouble au 3e? Puis est-ce que cette expérience-là, qui a remonté quand même à longtemps, t'a aidé à t'en sortir?
Talk about the first, when I had a kick to the head tonight, I had a flashback of Matt Serra. Yes, oui, c'est de l'expérience. En fait, au lieu de... Des moments, des fois, tu te fais atteindre, puis tu as besoin de récupérer. Puis c'est l'expérience. C'est l'expérience que j'ai gagnée durant ma carrière qui m'a permis de survivre. Et puis, je me suis servi de ça ce soir. When I got hit hard, sometime before I was very proud guy. I tried to give it back right away, but the experience I gained from a lot of all my fight, it allowed me to recompose, defend myself, and when I got back to come back stronger, is experience that allowed me to survive, you know, and come back from that big kick that I got hit with.
Peux-tu parler du travail de Carlos quand tu étais dans sa garde? Tu l'as amené au sol, tu étais en position dominante, mais il a fait pas mal de dommages, je pense, de son dos.
Wait, I talk about Carlos, his guard. It was very active guard. He give a lot of try a lot of opportunity, a lot of damage with his strike. Oui, c'est vrai. Et puis, mais j'étais préparé à ça. Je voulais pas jouer une game trop de jiu-jitsu avec lui parce que des fois, il fait exprès de donner une opportunité pour le soumissionner, mais il se sert de ça comme un appât pour pouvoir s'en sortir et revenir sur le dessus. When I fight Carlos, I study Carlos a lot, and Carlos is a very interesting guy. He doesn't score. He have only one takedown in UFC, but if you look, the time that he has fought on the ground, more than 50% of the time he's on the ground, he's on top position because he bait. That's what I've seen in studying his fight. A lot of time he was baiting for submission. So my game tonight, didn't want to end up going for a submission and end up on the bottom with him. Because strangely, he doesn't do takedown, but he's on top for a lot of time, which is very strange for a fighter. He's a very special style, Carlos, and I knew that. He's a very clever guy, and sometimes I felt he let me some opening for me to go for something. And I don't know, I haven't talked to him, but maybe that's the case. And I didn't go. I wanted to play more a ground and pound game with him. I didn't want to do the same mistake I did with Dan Hardy, go only for submission. I want to hurt him with the strike.
Une petite dernière question, juste, t'as amené tes parents dans l'octogone, t'as donné la ceinture à ta mère. C'est la première fois que tu fais ça, je pense. Peux-tu parler de ça?
Non, you talk about my parents. I bring my parents in the octagon. J'ai amené mes parents dans l'octagon parce que c'est eux, au tout début, qui étaient là pour moi. On a grandi, on n'avait pas beaucoup d'argent, mais ils m'ont toujours supporté. J'ai eu une jeunesse qui était assez difficile à l'école et dans mon entourage. Puis ils m'ont toujours supporté à faire du karaté, puis ils m'ont jamais lâché. Puis c'est à cause d'eux que je suis là ce soir. My parents, that's why I bring them in the octagon, is because the first people had a tough childhood a little bit, and they never let me down. They always push me to do karate, and if I'm here tonight, it's because of them. They were the first people that helped me, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Question for Carlos and for George, and I apologize for this question, but I feel I need to ask it. Did either of you miss having Greg Jackson in your corners, and did it affect your performance tonight?
I missed having George, or I'm sorry, I missed having Greg in my camp, like pretty much the whole time. You know, he is a big part of my camp and my preparation. So, you know, it'll be nice the next fight, not fighting another, you know, a guy who's you know affiliated with the team, and you know back to normal with Greg Jackson, you know, back to coaching duties.
Yeah, it's Greg. He's a plus for us, you know. But and for that fight, it was neutral for me because you take away Greg for me, take away Greg for Carlos. So mentally, it didn't do anything for me. For me, it was a fair thing. But of course, if I would have, you know, it's a plus. You know, Greg is a very smart coach. You know, he's very good tactician. But now he wasn't there. So if I miss him. Yeah, of course I miss him. I miss Greg. But, you know, it's not like we cannot talk, you know. Like, I can call him right now, hey, Greg, how are you? You know, he's there, but it's just we didn't talk about fighting and we didn't talk about, you know, that's it, you know.
Question for George. George, a lot of times when an athlete comes back from a major surgery, you know, the most difficult part could be the mental part. Was there any time during that fight that you thought about your knee?
I did not talk about my knee. I just, when you haven't fought for a long time, you forgot the feel of the octagon, the suffering, you know, this feeling of not giving up. And it's sometime in the fight, I was like, oh my God, I was like, I wanted to, you know, I was like mentally, not breaking mentally, but you have to push, and this is something I haven't felt for a long time. Something very special you have in training, but it's not quite the same. You cannot. You have to fight in the octagon to understand that. I cannot really explain. It's something very special that the feel of the octagon, the light, the heat of the light, the crowd, the ground, the feeling of it. It's something that if you haven't done it for a long time, it can be good in training, but if you haven't done it for a long time, it's going to affect you. And it did affect me a little bit. And, you know, it is what it is.
If the
Hold on.
George,
Who's got the mic? You asking another question? Go ahead.
one more. George, if the super fight with Anderson Silva does happen, at what weight would you like to fight him at?
I don't know right now. It's a good question. I know Anderson have fought late 20s at 168. I don't know what he walk around. I know he's a pretty big guy, but you know, he's an amazing guy. You know, he went up in weight class. Me personally, is my weight. I cannot drop and go up like that. I can't do that with my body. Some guy, they can play with their weight more easy than me. Me, I cannot go up and go down too much, you know. So maybe we need to talk about that. I don't know how he can come down, but you know, at 170, I fight everybody at 170. But the thing is pissed me off a little bit is I haven't even came back yet. I'm fighting Carlos Condit, you know, and everybody talk to me about Anderson Silva, you know. This is disrespectful for me because disrespectful for my opponent, you know. And I think we give more credit to the challenger that I have, you know. Is that guy, they're the best in the world, you know, and I need to focus on my opponent and not thinking about the next step, you know. And right now, I just finished my fight. It's the same answer I'm going to say. I need to recompose and think about it. I get hit a lot on the head. I need a break and think about it, you know. We'll see. The thing is 177, okay, I show up 177, then the night of the fight I'm 185, then him he's maybe 205, 210, and I don't know how big he is. He's maybe 225, 230, you know. He's a big guy, you know, he's a very big guy. And I don't know how much he can come down. I used to fight, not a long time ago, used to fight in Japan at 168, which is smaller weight class than me, you know. Who knows? You know, sometime I'm sure UFC they can make magic thing happening. You know, so we'll see what's gonna happen. You know, I don't know how he can go down and up. You know, me I have a hard time Is my body? I'm an ectomorph body type. You know, I have very hard time going up and down. Some guy they can go up more and down. I don't know how they do. I'm not like that. I have a very hard time.
It's true. He has no problem making 185 at all. There was a time when Anderson said he'd fight this fight at 170. So again, like it's not even worth asking George any questions about it because we all need to sit down and we need to talk about it and figure it out.
Question for
somebody else had a question.
Right here.
Go ahead.
Question for Johnny. You said before this fight, if you won, you'd be willing to not fight for as long as it takes for you to get the title shot. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah. You know what I mean? How often do you get a title shot? You know what I'm saying? And I cleared out the division now, and there's only one more person that I'd like to fight, you know, and he's at the top. And so until for me personally, until I get that fight, that's what I'm waiting for.
And for Dana, the crowd during George's fight tonight was absolutely insane from the walkout to the end. Where would you rank them in terms of the loudest crowd?
It was exactly like we thought it was going to be. It's right up there with being in Brazil. It's crazy down in Brazil. If you've never covered a fight down there, it's pretty insane. But yeah, this was just like it. What's up, buddy?
George, when you started the fight, did you feel good as new when you started tonight, or did you feel a little off from the beginning?
I feel the feel of the octagon. It took me a few time to get it back. You know, it's something I haven't felt for a long time, and Carlos too. Carlos haven't fought for a long time, so we're pretty much neutral on that. You know, so it's something very special. The light, the crowd. You're not like it's not like you're in the gym. Some guys are very good in the gym, then they step for a real fight. The timing is off. It's something very special. So yeah, I was a little bit off in the beginning, but I get it back fast.
And when you were talking about how you left everything out there, and Carlos was nodding his head in agreement. You obviously have chosen a tough way to make a living You've been hurt before in previous fights, but forgive me for asking, what did you think when you looked in the mirror before you came out here tonight?
Well, before I put the ice, I look like a football, my head has the shape of a football, you know, American football ball, you know. That's why I put some ice, and I hope it's get better with time. J'ai eu un moment durant le combat que je me suis fait frapper dur, mais j'ai beaucoup d'orgueil. Je me suis dit que je voulais pas abandonner, surtout pas à Montréal, devant le monde, mes supporters qui sont venus ici pour moi, pour me voir. Avec l'état d'esprit dans lequel on va se battre, c'est un peu comme les gladiateurs. On y va jusqu'à la mort. Même si on va pas mourir, l'arbitre est là pour nous arrêter, mais c'est un peu dans le même état d'esprit qu'on s'en va pour le combat. I said when you go fight in the octagon, he said, what is talk about when you get hurt? I said, when you fight, you have to understand it's the same mental state of a gladiator. You go in for me is that I go until I'm dead, you know. But it's not. Of course, the ref will stop, and it's not the same thing. But it's the same mental state. It's not the same thing. It's the same mental preparation of a gladiator. So that's why in the beginning, in the entrance of UFC, you see the gladiator, because the same mental state. That we go into the fight.
Question for Dana. Before this fight, you said nothing was determined in the welterweight division, but with Johnny's win, is he now the #1 contender if George fights at 170?
What did I say? Nothing was what?
Nothing was for sure with the Hendricks-Cameron fight, but did he define himself as the #1 guy for sure tonight?
He looked damn good tonight. You know, it was a replica of the John Fitch fight. I mean, he even landed in the same exact spot that Fitch did. It was impressive. So yes, I would say he is.
And a question for Carlos. Carlos, to come so close in that third round, does that make you even more determined to work your way back? I mean, you really had to work to earn this title shot. Do you feel like that's your moment to say, yeah, I came that close and I can work my way back pretty quick?
I think I showed that I definitely belong in the upper echelon of the welterweights. I fought some of the tougher guys in the division. Fought the best guy tonight. We're gonna have to go back, reevaluate, see what UFC wants me to do, and hopefully make another run.
Go ahead, Becky. Yep. Oh, this guy's got it, and then hand it to the guy behind you after.
Okay. My question for Carlos Condit. Did you expect Georges St-Pierre to come off that strong in the first round after a long absence?
Yeah, George is, he's one of the greatest fighters that's ever, stepped in the octagon. So I expected him to be every bit as good as he was.
And also, you're coming off a loss, Martin Kamen also, and we all know that you want a rematch against him. Would that be a good thing for you for your next fight?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Quick question for Pablo Garza. Pablo, you've really impressed me as being a very versatile submission guy and a really good versatile striker and creative striker.
Is that microphone on?
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
Check.
There you go.
Sorry about that. Pablo, you've really impressed me as a great submission guy and a very creative striker. Were you surprised at how strong your top game was against Mark Hominick? Because it seemed like you were able to hold him down fairly easy for those 2 rounds.
No, I wasn't surprised at my top game at all. I mean, I believe I have an excellent top game. I was just really glad I finally got to show it in the UFC. If you saw my last fight, my wrestling wasn't really good at all, and it was something that we implemented and we really worked on. So added to the striking that I wanted to show off, I also wanted to show off my ground game, my takedown, and my top game. So I think I did really well in displaying all my tools today.
Johnny, hey. Dana touched on it, and everyone saw the finish was a lot like the Fitch fight. Fitch fight seemed a little cleaner. The left hand, Martin's hands up a little bit, but still went down, like he was shot. Feel as solid maybe as that Fitch finish.
Yeah, anytime, for some reason, whenever my left hand lands, it always feels solid. You know what I mean? I don't have to hit the whole chin. You know what I mean? To lay somebody out, and that's always nice to rely on. You know what I mean? I'm a wrestler, and I can knock people out. That's pretty sweet, huh?
And then, George, just a quick one. When Bruce was doing his intros, press row, we could barely hear him. The crowd was so loud. What was going through your head, as you were making that walk, and as you're in the cage, introductions going on? What's going through your mind?
I was thinking. I tried to not think too much for this fight. Before when I fought the Shield, I was thinking too much, over analyzing. It create paralysis. It's in the English proverb. Paralysis, yeah. But I tried to just let myself go, and I wanted to. I was thinking about the feel of the octagon, get it back, move, feel the cage, jumping around, put my knee on the floor, feeling the feel, And but it was very fast because Bruce, the referee said the fight, so I didn't have much time.
But just in terms of the emotion of that moment, did you have to compose yourself at all?
I had to compose myself, but I didn't want to make the same mistake of Dan Hardy. I talked to Dan Hardy a lot, and Dan, he helped me a lot because he says he was going too much with the emotion when he fought Carlos in England, and he gave me some good advice, and I didn't want to make the same mistake, and because Carlos is a good counter fighter. I wanted to go third on him. Like that was the plan.
A question over here, George, to your very, very left, back here. Did you notice Carlos's face at the end of the first round and second round? Did you think that finish is finally coming in after such a long time? And Carlos, was that something that made you speed up and say, I can't get taken down to the ground and get that ground and pound again?
But his cut, I want a finish, but I don't want to finish a guy with a cut, For me, it's not really a finish. I mean, for the pride of a fighter, you want to finish by knockout or submission. A cut, it's kind of a boring finish. Yeah, it's a finish. You take it. If you win, you win. I want to open. But it's not as rewarding as a knockout or a submission if you finish a guy with a cut. And of course, I knew he was open. But, I was thinking of doing my job,
Well, obviously, that's not where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be under George taking elbows. But I would say that in addition to being sweaty, the blood also made it really, really hard to grip for any sort of submissions. So that made things tricky, and made it harder to hold on to him. While he was kind of posturing up to drop more strikes. So yeah, I mean that it definitely had an effect in the fight, but I think it looked cool. Everybody likes a bloody fight, right?
And I guess George was mentioning how tricky your ground game is, especially your setups. And the one thing George kept doing was squaring up before he would do anything. Did that frustrate you, like as you were trying to time him for a sweep or a submission?
He did a really good job of being very basically having everything together, not letting me isolate an arm or a head or a leg. He was really composed and had a really good platform that he was striking from.
I'm going to take a couple more questions. We'll wrap this up. This guy in the red T-shirt, he's been raising his hand all night. The mic sucks anyway, but...
Thank you. Pascal de terrainjeu.ca et Karaté Sunfuki Longa. I have 3 questions. The first one pour Ivan. Ivan, did you miss doing your backflip Dragon Ball thing? Est-ce que ça te manquait après une victoire de faire ton backflip avec ta boule Dragon Ball?
Like when I do a fight and after I win the fight, it's like, let's do something funny, I just enjoy it. It's just a little flash for people to see, look, this is a sport, this is a show, so have fun, just look at it.
Cool. Second one for Dana. Are you disappointed about the in-house attendance at the Bell Center, considering this was GSP's long-awaited return in his hometown?
We did a $3.2 million gate. That never disappointed
All right, cool. And the last one for George. Tu disais dans ton entraînement avoir eu recours à un spécialiste en jiu-jitsu. J'ai vu pendant le combat que souvent tu tenais dans la demi-garde de Carlos et tu essayais souvent de lui passer peut-être un side choke. Je ne l'ai pas vu souvent dans tes derniers combats. Est-ce que c'était les points que tu as travaillé avec le professionnel de jiu-jitsu dans les dernières semaines?
He talked to me about the jiu-jitsu, what I work on. J'ai travaillé avec Brolio Estima, qui est champion du monde en jiu-jitsu. C'est un de mes bons amis à moi. Mais Carlos, c'est un gars qui est très intelligent. Des fois, il te fait croire qu'il te laisse une opportunité. Il veut que tu ailles pour l'opportunité, puis il sert de ça comme un setup pour pouvoir s'en sortir, pour pouvoir revenir sur le dessus. I know Carlos is a very clever guy. Sometimes he bait you in a submission. So when you go for it, he used that momentum to come back on top. He do that many times in his fight. So I knew that. So that's why sometimes I feel the submission. He let me like a katagatami. You call in English a side choke, but I was like, I didn't feel it's really there. I think he was setting me up for standing up. But who knows? Maybe, I don't know, you know.
Question all the way here in the back. Carlos, this is a great fight, but going to the fight, everyone's talking about St-Pierre and Anderson Silva. You're a very accomplished, fighter. What does that do to you mentally going into a fight where everyone's not really talking about you, they're just talking about somebody else?
I had to be, supremely focused on this man over here. George is one of the most dangerous guys, that I've ever faced. I had my hands full, the fact that I was going to be standing across the cage from George St-Pierre, and everything else was kind of just really just in my peripheral, and it wasn't it was there. I mean, the only time I was really dealing with it was when I was answering questions about it.
Right, and you just kind of just like whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
what are you gonna do about it?
I had my opportunity to fight George, one of the biggest stars in the sport, and that's what was on my mind. Not who's giving me my props, who's overlooking me. That this stuff's gonna happen. Whatever. I have my opportunity to get in there and and fight, and didn't turn out the way that I would have liked, but I feel like I left it all in the cage tonight, like George said. So it is what it is, I guess.
One quick question for Dana. Dana, that Patrick Cote decision, it looked like everybody in the arena knew what was going on. Now, you've never been shy about talking about officiating and all that stuff. Was this like an isolated incident for you, or is there a bigger problem with UFC officiating, or like just the mixed martial art officiating?
Yeah, no, there's definitely a problem. I mean, it'd be one thing if it happened every once in a while, but it just seems like it happens too much. If it's not reffing, it's judging. So yeah, it sucks. And one of the things is it's bad enough when you watch a fight and you think that you see somebody just get robbed in a fight, like so lopsided that you absolutely know. But it's another thing to see a guy get hit in the back of the head, a guy who's never been knocked out and never, and get hit in the back of the head 7 to 9 times with probably the worst illegal punch you can throw in the sport. It's horrible.
How did you score Carmont versus Lawler?
I didn't. I didn't. Pissed at Sakara? I don't know, man. I think the guy sitting up here would be able to answer that question better than me. I think when you're throwing those punches, you have to know that you're throwing some illegal punches, or you're just so caught up in it and you're just trying to finish. I don't know. They can answer that question better than I can, but 7 to 9 punches straight to the back of the head. It's the ref's job to get in there after the first one and say, yell, get off the back of the head, or then if he keeps doing it, you stop it and you give him a warning, or you take a point away, or whatever it is. The ref absolutely 100% failed to do his job tonight in a dangerous, dangerous way. Mm-hmm. And I hate those. Those are the worst, Thank you very much. We appreciate your support. Have a good night.